Okay, in this video we're going to be checking out the new Foxeer Falkor camera. This is a full-size camera. It will be coming in a micro version a little bit later, but they initially came out with a full-size version. Just to give you some specs on the camera itself, it's obviously full-size here, so it's 20 millimeters side to side and about 26 millimeters top to bottom. So it should fit most frames that will take a full-size camera. This has a 1.8 millimeter lens. I think it has a 140 degree field of view. You may want to check the link in the description for more stats and specs. The sensor on here is a 1200 TV line sensor. It's pretty similar to the sensor on the Monster. I believe the Monster is also 1200 TV lines. The Predator's 1000 TV lines. But I think they've, and it's a CMOS sensor by the way, but I think they've made some changes to the way this camera works versus the Monster. It's 16:9 and 4:3 switchable. That's a big difference, whereas the Monster was not. And I think that it has some different algorithms for light handling and for wide dynamic range. And we'll go over all that stuff here in a little bit. Okay, so get the weight of the camera here before I forget, and it comes in at about 14.18 grams. Of course, you get all your normal assortment of mounting and wiring looms, etc. One thing to note is they've switched the connector here on the back. I think some of the more recent cameras had like a 5 or 6 pin connector. This one has a separate connector for the OSD joystick. That's actually, they've kind of gone back to the old way, and this has the 4 pins here for your power, ground, video, and then has a line for the voltage sensor. Here's just a quick look at the manual. It shows you your connections here for the back of the camera and the joystick board. Obviously the manual here is indicating that there's going to be a micro version coming later. I'm not sure when that's coming out. And then we'll actually go over all of these menu items here in the camera itself. Okay, got the camera hooked up here. You can see my finger moving in front of the lens. Looks like we've got an OSD on the bottom here, pilot name, battery voltage, and power on time. And we'll just go into the menu here real quick. Okay, so in the menu here you got automatic exposure, white balance, day-night settings, image enhance, video settings, special setting, language, reset, save and exit. I'm pretty sure we're going to be in NTSC mode. Let's check here in video setting. Yeah, we're in NTSC, and the HD format, I don't know what that is, CVBS, I'm going to leave that alone. But you can switch this from NTSC and PAL, and it's also 16:9 and 4:3 switchable. I think that's going to be under the special setting here. Yeah, you can switch this from 4:3 to 16:9, and it looks like it zooms in on the 16:9. Yeah, it does look like the field of view, the image. If you look at over here, let's see, it kind of zooms in over in this direction over here behind me. I think that this zooms in over right in this area. Yeah, so it looks like it's cropping the top and the bottom of the image. So the top here and the bottom gets cropped, and I think this is a 4:3 sensor. So if you go 16:9, you're going to get a cropped image on the top and the bottom. Okay, go back to the 4:3 setting. So it looks like here you can change your name and your voltage and timer. So I'm going to turn all of those off. And then here you have image style, probably are presets here. So we got sunset, sunny, cloudy, indoor. So I'm going to change this to sunny. Usually I fly during the day and sunny. Okay, so here under automatic exposure, brightness is set to 10. Let's see, it goes up to a maximum of a lot. We'll go back to 10. That's probably what the default is. I'm going to leave on the default. Not sure what the max is. Exposure mode, you have wide dynamic range, globe, FLC, BLC. Going to leave wide dynamic range on. Under advanced, we have shutter control auto and gain control auto. I'm going to leave that alone. Here under white balance, you have automatic, white balance, manual. So those are the two options. I'm going to leave it automatic, day night, EXT, auto, color, black and white. Going to leave it on EXT. Under image enhance, we have contrast auto, sharpness auto, color gain auto, and you have digital noise reduction set to manual. So let's see if we increase that. Yeah, that will actually decrease the noise reduction on the image. I'm going to leave that all defaults. Let's see what the image looks like. Contrast, change that to manually. Obviously, you have different values you can set. Going to leave that on auto. I believe that's everything, so we'll go ahead and save and exit. And you can see now that the OSD is gone. I turned all those elements off. Okay, so go ahead, I'll stick this in a quad and we'll get some flight footage here for you. Okay, so here's just a little sample flight footage late in the day, close to sunset. So it's somewhat challenging lake conditions, and this sensor and this image quality is a little bit difficult to describe. It's not quite like the Monster. The Monster is also a CMOS sensor, but it's a 16:9 CMOS sensor natively. And this one is a 4:3 sensor natively, but also 1200 TV lines like the Monster. So you're going to get, it's a little higher resolution than the Predator. So it's kind of like a higher resolution Predator sensor, but the color reproduction is much more natural than it is on the Predator. Predator is got a really interesting wide dynamic range algorithm compared to this camera. Yeah, it's really hard to describe. Best thing to do is just watch the footage and see if you like it or not, because it looks really different from the Predator. It's closer to what the Monster looks like, but the colors are more natural than what's produced on the Monsters. So, and I know, and it's probably hard to understand if you don't actually see all three cameras side by side by side. Um, but yeah, that's going to be kind of a difficult video to make. So yeah, just trust me, this one looks, the colors look more natural on this one versus the Monster, but the sensor is a 4:3 sensor like the Predator. So they kind of took the two cameras and sort of mixed and hybrided the elements or the qualities of the two cameras and made this camera. But the image quality, the color reproduction kind of reminds me a lot of the Cadix, like the SDR2. It's very different from either the Monster or the Predator. So yeah, this is a very different camera, obviously, and that's why they came up with a whole new line. So obviously a new name for this new camera here, the Falkor. Anyway, yeah, go ahead and just watch the rest of the footage. If you guys have any questions, I'll try and take that into account for a future video on this camera. For maybe I'll try and capture some footage other times of the day. I'm not exactly sure if this is going to be a good night camera. I think the low light capabilities aren't that great according to the specs, but I might be mistaken on that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll try and incorporate that into a future video.